So how good's that blue look, eh? So that's part of our new merch that's going to be coming out real soon. Been working on that for a while now and we're finally getting there. This week's all about the trim. So Simon's been able to come over and it makes such a difference that he can actually come in-house and help out with what we're doing rather than us taking the car there at the end. So it's always check, recheck. I really think you'll enjoy the whole process of what we're up to now to get all this stuff finalised. So enjoy the show and I'll catch up with you at the end. Simon's back today doing a bit of trim work, so just trying to make these end panels on the dash fit, and they're not, we don't want this return edge, so just going to heat it up and see if we can roll it out like we did with the kick panels. I'm just going to put a fair bit of heat on it. Here's Simon, come and hang on to this. Just hang on to that there for me. I've got it hot, but just to how hot it is. That would change colour last time, didn't it? Really
yeah,
hot.
it gets like a shine to it.
Like that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to need to cut them up.
Yeah.
Swing them over. We want this to be the same here, don't we?
So yeah, that will stay like that and pretty much from there.
From there.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, man,
Just like that.
It's almost there.
Yep.
I can let that cool and
Let's see if it fits. Yeah. Might want to just go with that way.
just hold it.
Yeah, I'll hold that. Well, you're going to do a bit of work. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Righto, Simon, so you're back. You got the back seat back in again.
Again? Yeah.
Again. So it doesn't look a lot different, but explain to me what we're up to today because you've been in here messing about, so what's going on, mate?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get the shapes right on the sides and make sure the profile's correct so that when you sit in it, it's comfortable.
Yeah, I see you were sitting in it a minute ago.
Yeah, just getting that right. But
that's my phone. Keep telling me what you're doing, I'll be back.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm just going to get these sides here built up. They look pretty big and bulky at the moment, but most of that will be cut away and reshaped. So even as much as it comes out, we'll probably step back in a bit, and then just comparing it to where the parcel tray sits as well, because we've got the seat belts that will come out of there. The centre seat belt will come out of here and up and over. So just checking that as well. Yeah.
It's all right. Someone just told me I'm going to cut my phone off. One of them calls. It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the back parcel shelf's looking really good. So we've got some overlay footage. So just explain, you've obviously done some filler work now and raised up the speaker openings.
Yeah, so we made all the speaker pod sections, which the speaker will actually mount to the metal part of the tray, and then we'll have the mesh on the top.
Coming up from underneath. And I mentioned before, but the idea is to have that sort of square shape like the XABC's had.
Yeah.
So I think, as a Ford guy's a cool look.
Yeah, ties in well, and
yep.
you're not, making it too custom.
So we've got the seat belts out as well now, so we can start working out how the mounts are going to go.
Yep.
Where they come out through the opening. So
Yep.
you're going to drag this all back to the shop now and start making it look like a seat.
Yep. So yeah, everything's in there. I've got everything marked and all the gaps are right. Everything's looking really good. So now I just got to get the holes right for where the belts come out and where the port
For the sub. And then these here are going to look a little bit like the front seats.
Yeah.
But not so pronounced as like some of the later models.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll turn the camera around over the other way now because we've been messing around with the dash today as well.
Yeah.
So this dash now is the one we're going to use, and it's all mounted in the correct position with all the bolts in it. So we've played with this before, and we're now looking to get a finished result. And this little top plate will be made part of the dash, and that'll be urethane and then filled, and then the foam goes over it. And then the factory panel here, we've had the heat gun, bending it with the plastic, which we did a bit of a video of. And I've just got to move one more bracket inside here, so the pinch weld, this pinch weld will run all the way down, and that'll all look nice and factory. And then this corner, I'll just fill this with a bit of weld in a minute, and that'll give us a really good clean result, and it all clips together and hopefully looks like an FG. It's part of the process of trying to make this dash look like it belongs in this car. You can see the shape here is quite rounded, whereas the one in the middle has more a squarer look about it. And I much prefer that look than I do the round. So I've made a decision to modify this just by reshaping the foam. And you can see there the lines I've drawn on there with the plan to try and emulate what's going on with the one next door, but the foam's not really thick enough. So because of what we've been doing, we had a second crash pad. So I've been able to remove that piece off of the other one. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue that onto there, and that'll give me twice the thickness to be able to sand it down and make the shape suit what I'm after. So I'll give that a go and show you what the result is at the end. So the next part of the process now is I've glued that second piece on there, as you've seen already, and I've now started sanding it. So I've got this down, this line here, nice and smooth, compared to say over here where it's sitting on top and it's like 10 mil. So my plan is to get this one and this one to match. So I've made a template of that and marked it on here, and I'm now sanding it down. So I'm blocking this with this sort of block, flat this way and flat this way, and I'm going to shape that up and try and emulate that shape there through this pod so that we end up with a squarer looking gauge cluster, so that it fits more to the style of the car, because otherwise we're going to end up looking too round. So the plan is to have it looking much squarer, more like this through here. And then you can see there where it's still round. So I'm going to sand that up, take the cluster out, make this transition here a lot nicer. And then my plan is to have those two matching, and I think it'll look the shape that better suits the XC.
Yeah, so this is the door that we fiberglassed up the other day. So just trial fitting it now, and all the gaps are pretty good. This area here is where we probably need to shave a little bit out, which I kind of knew about anyway. But yeah, just checking the fitment of the handle and everywhere else, which is pretty good, just except that area there, which we shaved down, and all that there came out pretty well.
So under that door handle, that's going to be sort of filled up a bit like the factory one, isn't it? So it's not going to look, at the moment it looks like it's sitting out a long way, but it's going to be filled in underneath that, which will make it a better shape. Yeah,
that's right. So the panel actually comes right out here, and it's got the armrest built into it, which comes out sort of, pretty level with that.
Yeah, and that takes the FG door handle and the FG electric window switch.
Yeah, and that's where the wiring will come through for the switch there. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it there. We'll just shave a little bit through here. That's with all the pinch weld in there now, that's all good. And then down here as well, it's got a fair bit of clearance, which is good. And yeah, happy with all that down there as well.
So I've had Simon back today working with Darren, just finalising all of these kick panels and door trims, and how sensational is that starting to look. So he's got the top of the door trim made, and you've seen that happening with the fiberglass, and you can see there the end result. So that's all tying in super nice now with the dash. So all of these top sections are going to be done in that black Alcantara, which is like a suede fabric, and some of the lower sections will be done in the tan. So we're just working our way through that process now, and pretty much all of this dash area now is pretty much ready to be locked up and finalised. And I've got all the door rubbers on as well, and the reasoning for that is so that I can make sure everything's going to fit correctly with the rubbers, and also I'll start doing the body work with the rubbers on to make sure that everything lines up when it goes back together. But really happy with the way that's all starting to come together. It's been a very long process. So something else finalised today as well as the back seat now. He's shaped all that up how he wants it to look, and it's now all permanently bolted in and clipped in, and that'll enable him to finalise the parcel shelf and the back door trims now. So really starting to make some headway. So you've seen the footage of the tops of the door trims and that here when Simon was here the other day. So what we're doing today is finalising all of these plastics, because we've been a huge amount of work to get all this to look like it's original, but at the same time we're using XC parts, we're using FG parts, and my aim here is to have this look like it was made for this car by the factory, not by us. So part of that process has been a lot of plastic welding and a fair bit of trial and error, and we're at a point now where we've got everything joined and it all nice and solid, and we're now going to start filling some of that with some plastic filler, and then finalising all our screw mountings, and that everything's 100% finished. So I'm really happy the way it's come along, and once that door closes and the door trim goes on, the door trim sits just above this, so it's just going to be a really nice clean finish. And then the sort of things that you come across is like here, the door trim had a step on the factory one but not on what we're doing, so we've just put some steel in there to finalise that. So there's a whole lot of little things that have to be done to get it to a point whereby I'm ready to put filler in and do some paint work. So I've got to get this done. I've got all the door rubbers on now, so they'll stay on foot through the filler process on the outside to make sure that we don't fall for that trick of getting all the body work done, put the rubbers on, and then the doors don't close properly. So it's a long drawn out process, but we're coming to the end of it. So this area here, it normally steps down through here, so we've put some steel in there and welded that up so that when the new door trim fits on there, it'll follow the body line and it won't have a gap sitting in behind it. And we'll do that front and rear. So when the trims were on the other day, we've done that. And we're putting all the rubbers and all on now to make sure that all the doors close properly, all the rubbers line up through the door gaps, and everything can close, nothing's going to rub. And we've finalised this area here now as well. So we've added extra plastic on through this line, and then this one now will get trimmed, this one gets trimmed and goes up underneath. So we'll get that nice factory clean finish. Today I'm just going to show you a bit about what we're doing. We're trying to get all of this dash and plastics and all finished, and these are now going to get trimmed. So I need to get this to look a lot more consistent than it is. We've been able to weld that and it's nice and solid, but when that gets trimmed, I want to make sure the shape's nice. So being plastic, part of the issue there is getting something that's going to stick there. When he puts the trim on, I don't want it coming off. And I was talking to the boys at PPG, and they have a product under the brand of SEM, and that's the actual product there. Now this is made to repair bumper bars and other plastics on current model cars. And with all of your plastics on the back, it'll actually tell you on here the type of plastic it is. So you can see the PP there, so that's the type of plastic that this is. And as you can see on here, This is for problem plastics, including the EPDM, the TPO, PP. So we're PP, so this will be able to repair these. Now this will actually repair it, so we're not looking to repair, but I'm going to use it like as a filler to now be able to put that in and then sand it up and get a really nice finish on it. So before we get to that stage though, we've gone through and sanded it just with some 80 grit on the vacuum, cleaned it up, made it all nice and clean, and then they make two products. One is just a straight wax and grease remover, takes all the contaminants off, that enables that to make sure that it's going to stick properly. And then this scuff and clean is a cleaner but also scuff, so it's like a bit of a sandpaper. So if you've got a smooth plastic, and that'll make sure that you've got a nice surface that the product will then adhere to. And then it's a two-part setup, and I've used this one the other day. Hopefully it'll be all right still. And then obviously just as a screw on top, provided you know what you're doing. Take the lid off. Now it might go on. Okay, so that just screws on. And that's a self-mixer, so as it comes through, it mixes them together, and then we're going to apply it. So this one here, I'm going to fill the surface, and there's a bit of a crater here that we want to fill up. So I've just bent up a bit of steel to make a little dam there. So I'll squeeze some of that out. You can see there how that just mixes together as it comes out. So this is all a bit new to me. Had a little play with it the other day. Right, so I just keep putting that in. So my plan here is I'm using this like a filler, and it's like a lot of things I do, it's probably not what it's designed for, but I've used it before and it does sand up really nice because it's designed to be used on bumpers. So we tend to find all these things, ways of doing things in these modified cars, that products that are made that aren't designed for a particular job, but seem to be able to get it to work. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead now and keep filling that up. So this particular one has been piece welded onto the side of it there, and obviously it's the kick panel, and I'm just looking to make sure that when that gets covered it actually has a nice smooth finish so that you don't see it. Now the advantage of using this rather than using normal filler is that because this is all flexible, my concern would be if I use normal filler, then when it gets twisted a bit or put on, that if the filler starts to release off the plastic, then we're in a bit of problems, because then you'll see a bit of a bubble under the fabric. And long term, I don't want those sort of issues to happen to this car. You get it all looking right initially, but I'm looking 5 years down the track. I want to make sure that everything's going to stay in place and have some longevity about it. Right, so I've got all that in now. Obviously used a few different cards and kept laying it on, and it's gone pretty hard now. It's only within probably 10 minutes. So I'm just going to let that go a little bit more, then I'm going to give it a sand, see if we've got any lows, fill it up, get all the edges nice, and then they'll be ready for the trimmer. So the plan now is to give it a bit of a sand. So the instructions say 20 minutes, and I mean, it did go off really quickly. So I've just got a bit of 80 grit, bit of Abranet. I'd normally have the vacuum running, but it's a bit loud for the camera. And I just apologise for my breathing. I'm still trying to get over that horrible disease we've all got to deal with at the moment. So 80 grit, and then I'm just trying to flatten it down, and it sands up pretty good. So what I'm looking to achieve here is to get a nice consistent transition from, you know, the FG plastics to the XC through here, and I've got a bit of a low there. I'll put a bit more in there, but I want to just make that just like you do normal bodywork, but it's a plastic filler, and it enables me to make that nice. And the good part about it is it seems to feather into the plastics really good. So, you know, where I'd normally be worried about that lifting, it doesn't seem to be doing that at all. And remembering this has only been on there for like 15-20 minutes. So that's the plan. We'll get all that sanded up, and then they can go to Simon to be trimmed. Man, this trim's so complex. Who would ever have thought it would take so much to get this to blend together? But we're really happy with where we're going now. The owner's happy with where we're going. I think it's going to be sensational. We just got to stay the course now and keep working through all these bits and pieces so we can get it out of there and I can get on and get the body done.